Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and today we are going to discuss my most anticipated 2019 releases. So, a new year means a whole new slew of books to look forward to. Just so many. This does not even really encapsulate I have 18 books on my most anticipated 2019 releases list, and honestly, they're not even all the books that I am anticipating being released. Why did I choose 18 and not 19, you ask? Because apparently I removed some, because I swear there were like... This list could probably be 40 books long if I really went to town on it. But these are the 18 that I am like most anticipating, you know, because this is a most anticipated list. That's how that works, I guess. This list is in order of release, so let's just jump into it. Let's get through these 18 books. Coming out on January 8th is Undying by Amie Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the sequel, and I believe the end of the duology started in Unearthed by Amie Kaufman and Megan Spooner, which is basically two kids go to space, hang out in some ruins, and then a plot twist happens at the end that honestly I saw coming. I had a feeling that's what was gonna happen, and I was right, and I'd like to see how that is explored in the second book. I'm really excited for this book that is literally coming out in a few days, like less than a week away. Real excited. Hope that it is on Hoopla, because if so, then I can just get right up and just devour it like a devouring monster. And then we have two books coming out on January 15th that I'm excited for. The first is Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee, which is another Rick Riordan Presents imprint book, and this one, basically, it's apparently about Kitsune in space. That's right, fox people, but in space. This book doesn't even take place on Earth. This book takes place in space about foxes, about people foxes, Kitsune. Oh my god, that's some shit right there, and I am 100% behind it. The cover is gorgeous as well. I hope it's on this side, because I have a lot of space right next to my head right here. I can see it on my camera. And then another book that I have high hopes for is The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi, which also comes out that day. Honestly, I have no idea what this is about. I believe it's some sort of fantasy YA. That is about all I know. Like, I've read bits and pieces about it, but they haven't really stuck in my mind, I'll admit. But it's Roshani Chokshi, and I know she can write a good novel, and I'm excited to see what the hell it is about. It's got a nice cover. I'm gonna read it, so I'm anticipating it. I don't know if I'll read it right away, I'll admit, but I'm still excited for it. A book that I am super excited for, coming out January 29th. Nope. Coming out January 22nd is Song of the Dead by Sarah Glenn Marsh. And this is the sequel, and I believe the cap end of the duology started in Reign of the Fallen, which was an arc that I read last year. I gave it, I don't know if I gave it 4 stars or not. It didn't make my top 8, but I really enjoyed it a lot. It was a really good book, and I hope that the second book is, if not as good, better. I hope that it is even better. And then we move on to February. On February 12th, we have Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the third book in the Witchlands series. Last year we had Sight Witch, which was sort of like a prequel book, and I haven't actually read that yet. I own it. It is, I think, in one of these tubs that are nearby me, but I haven't read it yet. But I've been wanting Blood Witch really badly, because that's the next one in the series. See how things progress, and I want it now, and I'm excited for it. It was supposed to come out last year originally, but it didn't. And I do hope to read Sight Witch before Blood Witch comes out. The Witchlands series is started in Truth Witch, and it's real good. And then we have two books I'm excited for coming out February 26th, one of which is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, the author of The Bone Season and that series, which I still haven't picked up, but I've been meaning to for like 8 years. But this is an unrelated book, and it's just so cool looking. It's apparently like a really big book, and you know, it's got a dragon on the cover. It's got a tower and a dragon on the cover. I don't care. about the details of what this book is about. I'm gonna read it because it's amazing looking. I'm already interested by the size and the cover. I'm easy to sucker in sometimes, and this book has suckered me in. Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schuldt, I believe, or Schulte. And I don't know much about this book either. I just like the sound of it. Honestly, I don't read synopses. I don't do it. And you're probably like, Megan, why the hell do you not read the synopses? The synopsis of every book that you read. And I do read them, but I sort of skim them and then I let them flow out of my mind so that by the time I'm actually reading it, I don't remember the synopses. I just know that I wanted to read this and I trust myself. I shouldn't, but it usually works out for me. And this one, I don't know. I remember I read the synopses for this. No idea what it was, but it's got a cool sounding title. Four Dead Queens, I presume. Real exciting about that. I love queens. I love dead queens. Who doesn't love a dead queen or an alive queen for that matter? So then we move on to March. 2019 March, which is, it's closer than you'll think it is probably. On March 5th, we have Deathcaster by Cinda Williams Chima coming out. The fourth book in the Shattered Realms series or quartet. I'm not actually sure. I haven't read Stormcaster yet, which came out last year. I keep getting it from the library and then I don't bother reading it and I get it again, don't bother reading it, get it again, etc., etc. But I'm still really excited for the next book in the series. I don't like this series as much as I enjoyed previous series, the Seven Realms Quartet, I think. But even though that series wasn't really that great either, actually. It had its own issues, but I'm still really excited for it because they're good. They are good to read, yes. And then on March 6th, we have Shades of Magic, The Steel Prince, Volume 1. This is a bind-up of all four, pieces that have come out. Chapters, all four chapters. I actually don't know what they're called, but it's all four that haven't yet, I think one still hasn't been released. I haven't kept up with it as well as I should have, considering how much I love Shades of Magic. I don't keep up with comics. I don't keep up with even manga. I read it, I like reading it, but I don't keep up with that stuff. I just don't. I'm terrible. Then we move on to, I have one book down for April, which is Arusha and the Song of Death by Roshni Chokshi, who 2 books in 1 year and not that far apart. Girl. Oh my goodness. This is the sequel to Arusha and the End of Time, the second in what I believe is a quartet, and I'm excited to see where this series goes. It's about Hindu mythology. It's sort of Percy Jackson-esque. It's by Rick Riordan's imprint is who publishes it, and it's coming out April 16th. It's the second book, and I'm excited to read it. Because I love Percy Jackson, and it's similar to Percy Jackson without being Percy Jackson, but it has that same flavor that I love. I love the flavor. It's tasty as hell, and I'm really excited for this next book. Presumably there will be a Song of Death. Who doesn't like death songs? A lot of death so far this year. We got Song of the Dead, we got Undying, we got Four Dead Queens, Deathcaster, Arusha and the Song of Death. Chill with the death, y'all. So then we move on to May, which I have several books, and one of them you will all recognize. But the first is Aurora Rising by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, who did the Illuminae Files trilogy, which I really enjoyed. I don't know entirely what this is about, but I know I like the cover because it's purple, and I am one of the few people in the entire world that like faces on the cover. I like faces on my cover. I like people on covers, unless it's they look nothing like the character or something. That I don't like, but it's sci-fi. I love a good sci-fi book. I need to read more sci-fi in my life. I'm hoping it's good, y'all. I'm hoping that the Aurora rises. And then on May 14th, we have 2 books with similar sounding names-ish. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazl. I am so sorry. And I actually don't know what this book is about either. I feel like I read the synopsis at one point, and I added it to my to-read list, and there it is, so I'm excited for it. I feel like I've followed her on Twitter for a while now, So I'm really excited to read this book. And then the other one is The Candle and the Flame by Nafiza Azad. Again, I probably butchered that name because I am a trash can of a person, which my note literally says historical fantasy along the Silk Road, which sounds really cool and not something I've seen a lot in historical fantasy books that I've read anyway. Most of what I've read historical wise has been pretty European. Then we come to a book you have all heard of, and that is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Can't even pronounce her name. Poland Bananas Books here on YouTube. Comes out May 21st. It's a contemporary, maybe with a flavor of whimsy magic somewhere in it. It says that apparently it's described as a romantic comedy about second chances and being brave enough to try again, even after you've screwed up. And that's from Publishers Weekly. Listen, we all know what Again But Better is about, probably. If you watch Poland Banana Books, you already know it's some kind of contemporary romance. It's not up my alley at all. Let's face it, I don't read a lot of contemporary. I don't even read a lot of romance. I want to read more of contemporary romance, but I find it hard when there's like no magic or dragons or spaceships. It's just, it doesn't pull me in as easy, you know. I'm a simple girl who likes her fantasy and sci-fi. What can I say? But that is coming out May 21st, and I'm excited to read it. I'd say that it's the most excited I've been for a booktuber's book, because I've watched Christine's book writing series, all her videos on that, and I just have loved it so much. Like, I binge watched them to catch up, and it was just, it makes you want to read a book. It's a really good marketing tactic, honestly mood. Good, smart, good job. Then we move on to, I have something for June, which is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Now, I still haven't read Margaret Rogerson's other book, which I can't remember the name of right now, but the cover is really pretty on both the other book she wrote and this one. That's literally it. The cover is beautiful, and I'm down. Listen, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I often judge books by its cover. I don't give a shit. So then I apparently don't have anything down for July and August. Are any books coming out then? Probably, but apparently I didn't write them down. But in September, I wrote down 2 books. One is Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which comes out at some point in September. It's another Riordan Imprints book, and this one is about Navajo mythology. As someone who lives in Arizona, anything that is like close to here and its history intrigues me for some reason. I don't know, particularly because obviously, as you can guess, I am not Native American, but it doesn't matter. Because Navajo mythology? I know shit all about Navajo mythology. In fact, whenever I look at the Navajo, I believe, language, sometimes, because they do have that on a sign at the pharmacy along with a gazillion other languages, and it looks like something else. I looked at, it's on Duolingo. You can learn Navajo on Duolingo. I don't think I have the capability to, because I struggle with French. I can't do that, friends. Oh god. I'm real excited to read a book about Navajo mythology. And then, speaking of Rick Riordan imprint, we have The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan, coming out September 24th, the 4th Trials of Apollo book, the penultimate, I've never used that word in my life, penultimate book in the Trials of Apollo series. Listen, The Burning Maze, I just finished it yesterday, and it wrecked me. No, it didn't wreck me, but it hurt. There were some painful there was some painful shit in that book. So I wonder how Rick Riordan is going to hurt me in this next book. How is he going to stab me in the heart now in this middle grade book about a god who is thrown down to earth and has to be a teenage human fighting Roman emperors? It's a whole ass thing, fam. It's a whole ass thing. And I'm also really sad because there's no more Magnus Chase books. I'm reading 9 from the 9 Worlds, 9 Stories from the 9 Worlds, 9 Tales from the 9 Worlds, 9 from the 9 Worlds, whatever it's called. And I'm really sad that I don't get any more of my boy Magnus Chase. Why didn't he get a quintet? Why does he only get a trilogy and Apollo gets a quintet? I see how it is, Rick. I see how it is. Anyway, the final book on this list, I don't believe has a release date yet, and that is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell, the sequel to Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which I didn't know what it was about until I read it, that's for sure. Like, once I realized it was about wizards, I was like, why haven't I read this book? Excuse me? I love me some wizards, and it's Carry On. Carry On is a whole lot. Like, the plot maybe isn't the best, like, the story is kind of... but the characters I like a lot. So I'm really excited to see them again in a new book called Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. So carry on, my wayward son. There will be peace when you are done. So that completes this video. Tell me down below what book you are most anticipating this year. There's so many books coming out this year. There were some books that almost made the list. Like, well, Evermore by Sarah Holland got pushed back to December 31st. There's Spin the Dawn, I'm not sure who that's by. These Divided Shores, which I think is the sequel to These Rebel Waves, which I haven't read yet. Slayer by Kirsten White comes out on January 8th as well, and that's a book related to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm not entirely sure. There's just so many books coming out this year, and it's gonna be a lot, folks. Real exciting. It's always exciting. It's always exciting to see what books are getting released, and there's more variety all the time. The young adult genre has, like, every year I feel like it diversifies itself more, and I appreciate that. I like that. Thank you. Please continue with this. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!